Thereafter, he went to Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, 95-97. He has been consultant and associate till 2007, almost 10 years. Thereafter, he started his own company, Gram Urja Solutions Private Limited. He's based out of Pune, and we wanted to understand from him how he, as an entrepreneur, developed this product or this service which he is carrying out. What all hindrances he encountered, how he overcame them, and how he has been able to succeed in his business. This will be good for all of us because we are also a small startup. We are about 4 or 5 years old, and I have explained our company working to Mr. Lath. So his experience will be very useful for our people. Over to you, Anshuman.
So what we will do today is I will just take you through 30, 40, 50 pictures and tell you the whole thing, the story. The idea being that what is critical to bring out is the terrain, and once you understand the terrain, then maybe you will be able to appreciate all the thought that goes behind it, because there are horses for courses, there are solutions for different places, locations. So what we have specialized in is a very niche terrain, and that's our core business, or that's what we kind of continue to do on a daily basis. So I'll just present the screen now. Okay, so this is a village called Darewadi. So from Pune, where we all are, or most of us are, this is around 4 hours north. So if you go north towards Nasik, there's a place called Narayangaon, and from Narayangaon you go left towards Junnar, where the Shivneri fort is, and from Junnar you go ahead another maybe 35-37 kilometers, so another hour and a half in the towards Naneghat. So this is a village called Darewadi, and this village we electrified in 2012. So you will find some people here. This is George Hanna from Bosch Solar Energy AG of Germany. So 2-3 things are very clear in this small picture. This is one of our first pictures of a large project, that this is like a village which is very remote. So even today you have to walk down a hill 2.5-3 kilometers to get to this village. Secondly, this solar panels that you see here, this is like slightly big, right? You can't say that this will give you 2 LED bulbs for 2 hours. So this is like slightly bigger. So what we are seeing here is that this is a project designed as per the needs of the people, and slightly bigger than what we would normally see in such a small village of 39 households. So this is the Mahadev Koli tribe, 39 households, and very remote area that you can see here. The third aspect that is this picture is bringing out, which I always like to highlight, is looks like a lot of people are involved. Looks like a lot of these people in the village kind of are involved in this whole project. So I'll just go through some more pictures like this. This is a village called Bhatipada in the Jawar belt. Again, you can see this is while we are approaching the village from one of the roads. Again, around 25-27 households deep down in a valley. And in fact, if you see here where my cursor is, there's a solar plant here that we set up for this village. So this picture again brings out a story. This picture says that there are women, there are men, and they are kind of interacting. They are saying yes or no, or kind of refraining. So this also is kind of a picture that tells a story of what we do, and we will highlight this when we move forward. Another picture, so you can see Kashiram Dada here and Ashok. So these are also from these communities, and they are interacting outside the what we call as the control room and the power plant with some villagers from a particular plant that we set up. Another one village like this. So the first such microgrid, as we call it, and a microgrid concept is very simple. One plant for the entire village, and then a grid which goes across the village like the Sarkari grid, and a connection with a meter to each household, a metered connection to each household, and there is enough scope in the village to run a pump or a chakki, and then each household, some 25% of them will get television, some will get a mixer, some 1 or 2 will get a refrigerator. So these are the kinds of villages, but across all of these villages you will see that this is kind of in remote areas. You will see that this is on the other side of a forest, down a hill. Otherwise, this shows the grid. So this is as per the state electricity board standards. So this will have earthing, and this will have all the safety aspects that we will do for it. And these are the service connections going to each household. This is the inside of a house. So by chance we started using very high quality material, that this could be Havells or sometimes even Panasonic if we can get a good rate and stuff like that. So this is in the Melghat forest, Amravati district. This is the buffer zone of the Melghat Tiger Reserve. And again, you can see that this village did not have the grid, and we have set up this microgrid. This is the solar plant, and these are the connections in the village. And in one of those villages in Melghat, you will see him, Motilal, his name is. He has set up a small chakki. Now, earlier they used to take this gehu to a large, to a village which is like maybe 20-30 kilometers away in a jeep which will be there once a week and stuff like that. Now they can do this in their own home. This is a single phase small chakki that he can run based on this mini grid. And his wife has opened a small shop here which he can open up till later, because there is now, and this is another such village where they can now operate these small shops till later. And this is a village called this is a village in Shahpur. So if you go from Mumbai to Nasik, then if you are just crossing Khardi station, on the left side you'll find it's called the Tansa Abhyaranya. So these are the backwaters of the Tansa, and a lot of the villagers there have been displaced because they were earlier staying in what is now called the Tansa Lake, which provides water to Mumbai, for example, and this is those areas. And this village is talking about a boy who's going around and taking the reading. So this is so just like she's the operator in her village, he's the operator in his village, and every month he goes across each house, takes down the meter reading, and they collect the money, put it into the bank. And this is how every month they will create a list of all the people who've given the money. A small chakki in another village. This is again Manachamba, a village in the Shahpur range. This is the first village, Darewadi. So you will see that water was a big issue in April and May when we were actually setting this up. We really had an issue with water, but now there's a pump, and this pump can give them water here, which is like good for 5-7 households. So some activity can go on in the night because of all of this lighting that has been set up. And this is the inauguration. So this was a Tata Capital project. So you find some people from Tata Capital here who have come. So this is the inside of a control room. You will see that these are Studer inverters and charge controllers, and this is mostly from Exide or Amara Raja. Amaron batteries. Typically 20-30% immediately get the EVs. And so the story around all of this was that one, there's an involvement of people, they participate in the decision making, and what we are being able to deliver is slightly larger than just small mini grids, which we could say is good enough for lighting. So in 2008, when I was traveling along with my colleagues and we used to go to villages all across, even in Dandeli Forest, the Anshi Tiger Reserve area and other places, we would say, "Bijli chahiye kya?" Nahi chahiye. Kya bada bijli chahiye? So why? Because they would say, "Humko to pump chahiye ya humko TV dekhna hai." No one is like, the aspirational people. So people would not be happy with 2 lights. So we, in our first project, actually fought with Bosch because they said, "Arey, this is a small village. Why do you want something like this?" And we said, no, unless we can provide them something which they can run on a daily basis in terms of chakki, pump and others, this is not going to be sounding the bada bijli to them. So one of the experience I'd like to highlight here is that when we were setting the first project up, the villagers were kind of lukewarm because they'd never seen something like a microgrid. And so they said, nahi, ye, wo and all that. So what we did was, instead of setting up the solar panels first, we set up the grid first. So the house wiring and the whole, poles and stuff like that. And when they saw that, unko laga re bada bijli aa raha types. The whole body language changed. So now they were like very, very happy and saying, "Arey, chalo, we'll do this now." So this was something which we learned, that what they wanted was something which was aspirational, which is like bada bijli. This is in the Anshi Tiger Reserve, a village called Bhamne, where we have a micro hydro turbine. So one of our projects where we did a solar micro hydro hybrid plant. So this stream actually grows up, and when this flows, then this moves. So 2.5-3 kilowatt kind of power can be generated. So this is like 2-3 months in the year there's no water there, but the rest of it's very good. And this is interesting because this, you can see, is this is a tribal folk art. They called it Wadli, and this is the normal life. Women are in the fields, and in this you'll see that there's a solar plant and there's a grid and there's a pump and everything. So this is now part of their life. So this was done by one of the deaf and dumb artists in the village where we have worked, and this was very interesting for us. So now this is what we call as the circle of success. So now what happened is that there have been a lot of surveys and a lot of impact assessment done, even with large companies. Like, for example, the University of Minnesota did a paid research where they came and they studied more than 250 households across many of our villages, an impact assessment to see what's happening and what is the feedback from the people. And they found that the success rate is very high, 90%, 95%. Even now we would find that 90% of our villages, the projects work across so many years. And these are very old projects. Some of them are like 10 years, 9 years now. And what is the reason? So this we found out is what we can call as a circle of success. We like to say that there's very deep community interaction, and therefore we use social organizations that are already there, embedded in those communities. So, for example, there's someone working on education, someone working on women empowerment, someone in agriculture, someone in health or water or other things, and we work with them. And then we work basically for tailor-made solutions. So when we go into a village, we'll survey each household and say कि कितना बिजली लगाओगे, क्या करोगे. So it's not like we have decided for you that this is good for you, you take this. We allow them to contribute to the decision making process as to where the plant should be, which land is good for them, where do you think people can maintain it, where is it safe. And then this is a key part, beneficiary contribution. So we have come across villages where people have not contributed and we walked out. So unless there's an involvement, we don't go ahead. So beneficiary contribution, then metering for every user. So in Chhattisgarh, the government of Chhattisgarh has done a great job of setting up more than 500 such mini grids in the remote forested areas, because Chhattisgarh is a forest belt. The problem there is that they said that we will not meter and we'll give 5 rupees per household per month for BPL households and 50 rupees per month for the other households. Now, all of the people there once it's not metered, they would just switch on the bulbs or the fans or whatever they would get, and within a few hours, the whole grid would go down. So to circumvent that, what did the people do? So they went and bought inverters. So in one sense, you're telling them, see, you're poor, so you should not pay more than 5 rupees or 50 rupees a month. But that same guy is going and spending 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 rupees to buy an inverter, so that when the grid is on, he gets the power and stores it in his house and then uses it later. So this lack of metering is also meaning a lack of discipline. So it's like, some people say that if we were to, for example, get petrol free, most of us would be on the road or in the car for most of our lives instead of sitting at home and doing something, because it's metered and we have to pay through our noses for petrol. We try and ration our usage. So this is critical because when we're talking the grid, it's a very different thing. But when you're talking a microgrid or a renewable resource, the overall energy that can be produced is kind of always has a limit. So to be able to stay within the limit, you have to do all this. And the last is the tariff structure. So you do want the people to come to a tariff which they can afford. So we do that by two things: that what would be your next best alternative, which is in most cases kerosene in this case, or for others, and also what can you afford and what it will take to maintain the batteries, because after 5-7 years you'll have to change the battery in the village, which is like 2.5 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 1.5 lakhs. So all of that goes into these part of this community interaction. And the last part is that ultimately people do take this up because they feel that this is their own thing. So when in India people burn a bus, it's because they don't think they own the bus. But when we go to these villages, there are 2-3 cases in Jharkhand. One of the boys, for example, was trying to bring down a mango with a slingshot, and it just broke one panel. So they called us and we said it costs 8,750 plus 1,250 for us to come and stuff, 1,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees. And so they imposed a fine, and his own father was part of this village committee which imposed the fine. And they paid. So the point is that they feel it's their own thing, and people have been doing this. So like for one place where one panel got stolen in Jawar, in 30-40 villages after that, where we installed solar pumps, people would then take turns to stay. Boys would go in groups of 2 and stay near the pump in the night, so that no one will come and because water is so critical to them. So this is the story that we have been trying to build up, and this picture is the best way to kind of showcase that. Where are our projects? So our projects, if you look at our map or our website any day, you'll see that this is around this belt. So this belt is the central belt of India. And why is this? Because this is the underserved part of India. Why? And this is because it is forested, it has hills. It's difficult to take the same kind of infrastructure that we get in the plains to most of these places. So this is the first part. As we move ahead, we will see that when we used to go to these villages, we would find that a lot of villages have the grid. So what is the problem there? The problem is water. So people stay on top of a hill and the water source is down below. It's a well or a stream or something. And then they say, okay, how do we get the water? So the only way for that would be for them to, and each one of these vessels is 15-20 kilos with the water. And the young girls start very, very young. So this girl is already taking 10-12 kilos and going. So this is the next big intervention we thought we could do. So this is just a village in Jawar. So here I think the trek is going to be longer because you can see some of them have 2 or 3 vessels. And 3 vessels means that they can't come back to get it, right? So in a day, this is the only time they can come. This may be a 1 hour, one way kind of a trek. So that's the kind of time they have. And what they realized in our, impact assessment surveys is that the usage of water also increased when the solar pumps were set up. Why? Because earlier it was only for, drinking water, cooking, and maybe a little bit of, for the young and the old. But once you got more water close by to your home, they used to use it for cleaning, and the young children could bathe there, and so it was very, very important that extra fraction of water which was available was so meaningful. So again, you can see the terrain, the people having to really go up and down, and in this case, because it's not an even surface, it's not a flat land, the number of vessels is low, so they'll probably do multiple treks to get the water up to their home. So in such villages, we've started setting up solar water plants along with the villagers who really would help, and then we would set up something like this up in the village, Tanki. And then this is what is called a stand post. So a stand post in such villages. So maybe 5, 7, 10, depending. So within 100 meters of your house, most of the people could get some water. And there would also be a Nal Pani Yojana Samiti. So the villagers would have a time when they will start it, will stop it, close the water, close the wall. And then every villager would also pay 30 to 50 rupees per month, every household, for the maintenance of the plant. So, for example, there are cases where they've had to change the panels because of someone has stolen or broken it, or some small cases here and there. So when you say that no, this will cost you so much, they don't have to go back and look for the money. They already have it in their common account. So this is from the the learning from the villagers. So they said for the baltis or the buckets, we need it down below. For the vessels like this, like the handis, we need it up here, so it's easier to pick up. So then the stand we started creating like this. So very, very interesting inputs coming from there. Similarly, other places like this. So again, you can see what kind of areas are we talking about. This is like one village that we have. This is a village called Brahmanpada in the Mokhada area, not very far from Nasik actually, 1.5 hours drive. Again, there's an operator. So this operator knows how to handle 90% of the cases if there's a problem. And then above that, they would call us. And if there's still a problem, then we'll get to the supplier. So the suppliers know us well because we've now installed, maybe 600 such villages with pumps and stuff. So we know how to get service out of them, and it's easier than an individual. So, just to come back, when we started off, we didn't know what we were going to do. The name had come, Gram Urja. We wanted to do something in rural for solar for, rural areas. But we were trying biogas at home. We were trying home lighting, and we realized that that's never going to be a business. It always needed some different kind of a, business idea. So this Darewadi, that's so important in our journey, because 2012 when we did that with Bosch Solar Energy. And why did Bosch come to us? They had set up a large solar plant in Germany, solar module plant. And they said that, 30,000 villages in India are still off the grid. This is like 2011-12. So why don't we come and do something there? So that's their idea. And they said, okay, let's do one pilot. So they were looking for partners, and we did one for them. And in fact, we did one more for them because one of the other partners failed to deliver. These are not so easy places because, I've not shown you some pictures, but the way we've carried poles to some villages up the hill, the way we've carried batteries, is very, very difficult. And only because the villagers are keenly involved can you do this. So this is the story for the solar pumps. Now you can see this small video. So this lady here in Jawhar again, she's saying that she's got this small kitchen garden. And where does this kitchen garden get its water from? So she's showing somewhere on her left side, she's getting some water. And you can see that we have a solar pump in that area. And when that solar, so this is basically mirchi and some flowers which you can sell. So this is cash for the family. And where does the water come from? So if you go here, you can see that there's a stand post here. And from the stand post, there is a runoff. So even when it's working, there'll be some water slippage, right? And that runoff is actually being harnessed by her for her small kitchen garden. So this is quite interesting. So similarly, a picture which shows, again, village life, and then all of a sudden there's a pump with solar, providing the electricity and this. So this was the second intervention, which we have now done across 175 odd villages across Jharkhand, Maharashtra, other parts. Then this is the other breakthrough. Just like Darewadi was the first breakthrough, then the pumping thing which happened, and now the third one, which is the water for irrigation. So entire belt, right from Bengal or the tribal belt of Bengal, Purulia, all the way through Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, till almost north of Mumbai. Just north of Mumbai, you have Jawhar and Palghar and the Palghar district, which is Mokhada, Vikramgarh, Jawar, Wada. You will find that people do one crop, which is the Pausala Bhat, as they call it, which is chawal during the monsoons, or sometimes Nagli, which is ragi, nachni. And after that, a lot of these people would go out and do labor. So one village called Tulya Chapada, which is again not very far from Nasik. From Trimbakeshwar, it would be like around 1 hour. We went there and, those people were going out for sand farming. So sand farming means they would actually go to the seaside and with contractors, and they would go down to get sand. And this would be very, very taxing on their lungs. And almost all the men folk would, like at 40, 45, start getting terminally ill. So this new intervention, which is solar for irrigation, we started doing for villages which have surface water. So like, small check dams, like in this forested area, or a small big farm pond somewhere. And again, you can see that this is forest area, difficult forested area. And we started doing this solar for irrigation. And in the last year, it's really grown. So this is like what we set up. So you have the solar plant here and the filter, and because this goes for drip in some cases, and then the pipeline which goes into the village, and then this is second or third crop that they are taking. So Tulya Chapada has been quite an experience in that sense. So this is some Krishi Vibhag Adhikaris coming to Tulya Chapada. They've done Bhuimung groundnut, and they've been doing this for 6 years now. And this is a village called Valaipada. This is in Talasri. So just from Mumbai, if you're going to Ahmedabad, and in Talasri, you move left, and then you'll have the Pinjal Nadi going there. And so we use solar pumps, and this guy did a bumper harvest of more than ₹1 lakh in his acre. That year the chili prices were high. So this is one village, for example, where we were doing some measurements, and you can see here that this is dry. And on the other side of this check dam and the river, small river, you'll find that this is all land which is not utilized during the off season. And the next year, when students from IIT had actually gone for a project there or to study, you'll see that this is the same dry period, but you'll see that here this village is already doing a second or third crop, which is because of the solar pump. So this is two pictures of the same spot actually, and in 2 different years. So and this we've been able to do for now. In fact, the Tata Trust has something along with IKEA Foundation and others called a Lakpati Kisan Yojana. So this year we did more than 380 odd pumps for them in Chandrapur, Gadchiroli, Nandurbar, Dhule, and some parts of Nasik district. So they've actually targeted some of the most backward regions of the country, and they're trying to allow farmers to do a second or third crop, and they form small groups along with local social organizations. So we have been implementing this, and in this year we did a very large project, more than 8-9 crores just with Tata Trust and these projects. So this has grown a lot. Another small intervention we like talking about nowadays is what is called biogas. So you can see this is typically a small village where you will find people using firewood for cooking. And this is a village in the Dandeli forest region. So this is in May, they store firewood, because the next 4 months are going to be very, very rainy. That belt is very, very harsh rains. This is the firewood storage for one household. I mean, when we see this, we get shocked, and most people will say, "Hare baap re," types. One household. So a largest household, not like 3-4 people, maybe 6, 7, 8 people, but one household. This is the firewood storage in May. And that same village, this is the gobar, which is leaching into the soil, going off with the water and underutilized, creating makhi, insects and whatever. So the solution we have again is community based here, where for the whole village, this is a village actually in Gauliwada here, not very far from Pune. Just if you cross Pirangu, Ambadwet Taluka, we set up this plant, Ambadwet Gram Panchayat. This is a solar, biogas plant with a storage balloon for the gas, and then this is like near Ujjain, a village called Chipia, which we had set up. This, you can see the blue and the yellow lines. So we mapped 65 households, and each house we mapped on Google Maps, and this is the line which goes and serves them gas. So there again, we've been able to set up with a metered connection. So a meter, a regulator in each household from the digester, just like the solar microgrid, but this time it's gas instead of electricity going into each household. And this was how the pipeline was laid. And this is the flame inside the house at a distance of 2.5 kilometers from the plant. And this is our team setting up the whole thing. So the cooking happening at one household. This is a village called Harai, not very far from Ranchi, some 30 odd kilometers, 48 households, again 2.5 kilometers of total pipeline. And this is a place in Thane district, actually Mira Bhayandar Bhajinder area, where there's a school down below and there's a kitchen like this. So 3 of such stoves are running 900 meters from this biogas plant. So similarly, this is Pune Pinjarapol. So the quarters, we have set up this for them. So 16 quarters, the gas goes into the household like this. So now this is interesting because, this is milk, and milk is not transportable or not storable without energy. So either you have to kind of refrigerate it or you have to heat it. And so both of these require energy. And where does this energy come from? So that energy comes from firewood in this case. And so this is 2,000-3,000 rupees worth of milk every day. And this is not small. So this is not a very poor household. They'll have 70 cows. And this is in the Shivpuri belt in central, in slightly north Madhya Pradesh. So not very far from Bharatpur in Rajasthan or from Gwalior or Guna in Madhya Pradesh. So this is today getting the energy from firewood, which the forest department is also not liking. And so is there a problem. And we're trying to convert all of them to biogas slowly. So this is our current big project where we're also trying to attract carbon and see how these things go. So these are Nandurbar primary health centers where electricity was a big problem. Again, because of the terrain. If you can see this, if one transformer goes somewhere, so 4-5 months, no one will go and check that. And so they can't store, they can't have deep freezers, they can't store, vaccines or, injections. And so we set up this. Look at the difficulty of setting this up here. You can see the kind of village that we're in. And this is the Gadi range, which is in the buffer zone of the Kanha National Park, Tiger Reserve. There we have these schools and hostels. For 17 such schools, we set up a large project along with Wildlife Conservation Trust. This is one of the hostels there. And then, some 10-15% of our part nowadays work comes from city-based projects. Like there's a 55 kilowatt peak we set up on the rooftop of National Chemical Laboratories NCL Innovation Park, which is called the Venture Center on Pashan. Most of us have passed that every day, many times. And this is a 500 kilowatt peak plant we set up in Osmanabad district for a village project. This was the team. This is like before COVID, because that's the time we used to meet up. The next one is going to be in the next 2-3 months. But yeah, so I'm through. Maybe we can just now open it up for some talk discussions. And thank you so much.
As you showed in the photograph, you have some operators, operating and taking care of the system, and it is a metered connection. So is it just like what we pay here, a unit charges, that what you collect from the villages? How is it?
So it is like normally 10 rupees a unit. So people use 7, 8, 9 units a month, not more, because these are small houses. They know that it's expensive. So 150-200 ke andar bill rakhte hain most of the places. Like, one example is that in Darewadi, for example, we set it up in 2012, and 2013, 6th of June, I had taken 5-6 people to show the village. So हम लोग जब नीचे पहुंचे तो generally हमने कहा bill दिखाओ थोड़ा सा 1-2 घरों का. So one of the bills was 650 rupees or 638 or something like that. And this is 6th of June. तो हमने कहा इतना बड़ा बिल आ गया, इसने पेमेंट किया क्या? एंड दे सेड हाँ पे कर दिया इसने ऑलरेडी, कल तक 5 तारीख लास्ट डेट होता है हर मंथ, एंड वी आस्क्ड व्हाई, हाउ कम दे पेड? सो द आंसर वाज दैट उनके यहाँ शादी थी, एंड इन अर्लियर इयर्स दे वुड ऑलवेज हैव टू गेट अ डीजल जनरेटर, नीचे लेके 3 किलोमीटर चलो, एंड देन द डीजल एंड द चार्जेस. सो 12-13 हजार का खर्चा उसका हो जाता था, एंड दिस इज लाइक 600 रुपीज. सो पीपल हैव स्टार्टेड वैल्यूइंग दिस अगेंस्ट व्हाट दे वर लिविंग अर्लियर. सो दैट्स द रीजन दे पे.
And this collection is used for the upkeepment and maintenance of the system?
So nowadays we don't go there for free. अगर कोई problem आएगा तो we enable them on the phone. But if we have to go, we'll take कि भी हमको 1000 रुपए लगेगा आने का, because it's very far off. And then people pay if there's a small component which needs changing. See, if there's a big change like an inverter issue or something like that, our suppliers are gracious enough to kind of help us do it. But otherwise, they will pay for it.
There's a regular maintenance required for the batteries, and battery change every 2 years, 3 years. Who does that?
Batteries are normally 6 years. We've seen the first one was 7 years. तो 5-6 साल तो कम से कम चलता है, because they're designed that they don't go below depth of discharge, of like 60%. So these are mostly sealed maintenance free batteries, so they don't require that kind of maintenance every day. But otherwise the operator is trained. And then क्या है कि हम लोग के most of the work you'll see is in clusters. So each of these clusters we have some technical person who's like up to speed and who can handle most of the work. 3-4 घंटे में बाइक पे पहुंच सकता है mostly in most of these cases. That kind of location.
Your team members are located 6 to 7 hours drive from the village.
Cluster. So in each cluster we'll have 1 or 2 technical people full time on our roles, plus a lot of people in the village who also know most of the stuff. And उससे ऊपर कुछ प्रॉब्लम आती है तो फिर थोड़ा ये रोबस्ट सिस्टम्स है probably some of the people from so we've had दरेवाड़ी को देखने के लिए 30-32 देशों से लोग आ गए हैं and then we have people from policy makers एक दो बार तो गवर्नमेंट के भी लोग आए हैं ministers from some countries come and seen all this so even those who are from the technical field have come and said that this is like very very robust high quality work done in terms of the deployment तो उतना maintenance issue नहीं आता है but like झारखंड में गुमला is the district which has India's highest incidence of very high lightning and we had a big issue but 1.5 साल लगा to sort it out with circuit breakers and what not SPDs and बहुत कुछ करना पड़ा but it took its own time.
Sir, I have a question. I am assuming that is 100% battery backed up, right? So that in the non-daytime they can use it. Is it like that, sir?
Yeah. So what we are telling people everywhere, and in fact we are now enabling it through technology, also putting up fuses and stuff, is that all productive equipment which is like higher power
water pumps
have to be done during the sunshine hours, have to be used during the sunshine hours. So the night is only for street lighting, lighting inside the houses, maybe a few televisions, mobile charging, that's it. So that's small loads. So the pump or the chakki or everything will be only when the sun is shining, so that the battery doesn't have to be that big. So for example, if you see government tenders, they will have batteries which are like 4 or 5 times our size because they say 3 दिन तक बिजली आनी चाहिए and all that. But you don't want them to use productive equipment in the night. It's so simple, and for a place that has never seen the grid, उसको बोलेगे चक्की रात को नहीं चलाओ is not like a big thing, right? All right.
Thank you for joining.